Hello and welcome to the mobility series. Today I'm going to take you through a routine that's going to work around our feet and ankles, into our knees and into our hips. A great routine to do in the evening when you sit in front of the TV. So let's get straight into it. We're going to start off with our deep squat. So we can raise the heels up and we're just going to sink down and just getting these hips into their full range of motion. So hands can be out in front here, heels can be up. If you've got the flexibility to drop the heels down to the ground, then that's absolutely fine. We can round the back out a little bit, but we're just focusing, getting the hips into this end range, getting the knees up either side of the chest. So once we're in this position, if we're happy to do so, we're just going to place the elbows in between the knees, hands together, and just push the knees out. So quite often we can go a number of days without ever getting into a squat position. So the average New Zealander sits for between 10 and 15 hours a day in a chair, in a car seat, at the dinner table. So this is a fantastic posture to get into at least once a day, if not more. So if you work at a desk most of the day, then try and drop down into a squat every 20 minutes or 30 minutes and just start working on that hip range of motion. So I always like to say holding a stretch like this for at least a minute, but if you've got more time, then 2 minutes is optimal. That just allows the body to relax, allows us to get into some good breathing in through our nose, and on the exhale, sinking a little bit deeper. If it's a bit uncomfortable, we can have the hands out in front, we can come up a little bit higher on our toes. We can even put some towels underneath our heels. We can even hold onto a coffee table if you're watching a bit of TV in the evening. So there's a number of ways that you can achieve this, making sure none of it is painful. So let's hang out here for a few more breaths. We're going to revisit this squat at the end of today's session, just to see if we've made any change. Okay, and then from here, we're going to open up to the side. We're going to place the left foot forward and the right knee back. So we can come up onto the toes a little bit, but make sure that knee's on the mat. And we're going to make the shin vertical here. So if this is a deep enough stretch for you, you can put the elbow on the knee here. Make sure we're getting that right hip behind us, getting it into extension. And then our front leg, our left leg, is in this flexion position. So from here, if we're able to, just reaching the hands down onto the mat and just sinking into that front hip. So none of this should be forced. Just allow the body to ease into it. Okay, and if we're here, we want to take a little step further, we can place our left hand on our left knee and just roll the hip out to the side, which will just encourage it into this external rotation, creates a bit more space through the hip. And then once we're here, we're going to reach the hands back down. And if we've got the range, dropping the forearms onto the mat and just holding it there. So again, none of this should feel sketchy, painful. We're just finding that first point of resistance. We're hanging out there. We're taking a few breaths. On the exhale, sinking a little bit deeper. And we're holding it from anywhere from a minute up to 2 minutes. couple more breaths here. We can revisit the hand on the side of the knee. Okay, it's okay for the foot to roll onto the outside. Okay, but just make sure we're nice and stable. We've got a good platform. Drop back down again. Okay, these are great postures to do at the end of the day, or maybe in the morning when we first wake up. Okay, coming up and switching sides. So coming over onto our right leg forward now, left knee behind. Get the shin pretty much vertical and just ease into it. Elbow can be on the knee, hand down on the mat. We extend that back leg behind us. We can have the hands down on the inside of that right foot. Okay, and if this is all feeling pretty comfortable, we can come up, we can place the right hand on the inside of that right knee. We can roll it open. Just encourage that hip to externally rotate. Again, none of this should be painful through the knee. And we're going to place the hands back down. And if we've got the range, just dropping the forearms down on the mat. So the thing with mobility work is we're just really focusing around that joint, trying to improve range of motion. And that is one component of joint health, muscle health. But it's really important that this isn't the only thing we do. Although mobility is really key, it's essential that we back it up with some kind of stability work, whether that's the movement series or the core series, because we create this extra space in our body. We then have to retrain the body to be strong in those patterns. So these are great additions to your training, great additions to the core work you're doing. Okay, we can revisit the hand on the knee, see if we can open up the hips a little bit more. Keeping that breath fluid and then breathing out, dropping back down again. So again, this should feel pretty relaxing. We're not forcing the body, we're working with the body. Okay, a couple more breaths here. And we're going to come up again. And we're going to go back to our left hand side. So just move carefully in between postures. Make sure we move in control. Make sure we get set up. Left leg forward. Shin vertical. Extend that leg behind us. Hand out to the side, push the knee out to the side. And if we're ready and we're happy to do so, dropping the forearms down to the mat. So everybody is very different. Typically, I find women will have quite a lot of range of motion. It's often the guys that are really tight through the hips. You might find that for some this is pretty straightforward and easy, and other people will really struggle. So there's no end point, there's no acceptable edge that you have to go to. It's about making improvements in your body, working with your restrictions. Keep that breath fluid, breathing in, And on the exhale, going a little bit deeper. I want to come back up on the hands, revisit the left hand on that left knee, roll that hip open. And then coming back down onto the mat. So great one to do in the evening instead of sitting in the couch. Okay, you can do your mobility workout while you're watching your favourite TV programme, your movie, listen to some music, and just start building these habits into the day. And then you're not having to put aside a set amount of time where you have to do your workout as such. Okay, and then coming up nice and gently. I'm going to do it one more time. So pivot over, coming over, right foot forward, left knee back. Keep the shin pretty vertical, sink into that right hip. Place the hand out to the side. Push the knee out. We can put the hands down in front. We can put the forearms down in front. So just find what works for you. Close the eyes and sink into this one. So if you're having issues with back pain, the hips are often the first area I check out. You know, has someone got full range of motion? Have they got fluid motion through the hip? Quite often, if we've got that tension in one joint, the joints above and below will move excessively to try and compensate for that stiffness. So if you're having issues with your knees or your lower back, and you're sitting here and the hips are tight as anything, and that gives us an idea of areas that could be beneficial for you to work on. Coming up, revisiting that right hand on the knee, and again just rolling that knee out, hands down. And the hands on the mat might just be enough for you. Okay, good work. So coming up, bring that right knee behind. We're going to come into a couple of sitting postures. So we might need to put a pillow in between the back of the legs. So here we're working on getting that foot into full plantar flexion with the feet, front of the feet flat on the mat. Okay, we're working the knees, getting them into full flexion. So if this is quite comfortable for you, then we can gently roll back and lift the knees up off the mat. So go easy on this one. If it feels dodgy, sketchy, the knees up. If we're here and this is nice and comfortable, we can just roll gently from side to side, working all those little bones in the feet. Okay, we can do little circles out in front. So what seems like or looks like a simple posture, it's often very challenging on the knees, very challenging on the front of the feet, and can be quite uncomfortable. So just listen to the body, don't do anything that feels painful. Let's hold it here. We can come out at any point and revisit. Okay, a couple more breaths here. And then gently placing the knees back down. Then coming up onto the toes. So tucking the toes underneath, heels together, knees together. And we're going to sit back on the heels. So again, we'll place the pillow in between the back of the legs here, if it's just a bit uncomfortable. This is going to really work the soles of the feet, an area of tension on a lot of people. So again, if you're having issues around calf strains, hamstring strains, and you're sitting here and the soles of the feet are really tight, then that's going to highlight an area that potentially be beneficial for you to work on. So let's hold it here. And again, stay away from that pain, find the edge, come out at any point. Take a few more breaths here. Okay, staying on the toes on this right foot. We're going to bring the left foot forward, and then we're going to drop down onto the front of the feet. So tucking the foot back underneath us, bringing this left knee up nice and close to the chest. We've bent our right knee, so from the front, looks like this. So a great one just to get the hip up into our chest, great one for working that knee. And then from here, what we can do is we can lean forward a little bit. We can hook the left elbow in front of the shin. So these are just some great ideas, different sitting postures that you can do instead of sitting in the couch in the evening, which is very tempting, but a great way to incorporate your mobility workout for the day when you're watching your TV. Let's just jump down on the ground, spend 15-20 minutes going through some of these postures. And this is how we used to sit when we didn't have chairs. We used to sit down on the ground, get the body into these different patterns. Okay, and then from here, we're going to swap sides. So left knee bent, sitting back. Right knee into the chest and holding it here. And again, we can just sink forward. We can put that right elbow in front of the knee. You might even need a pillow just underneath the back of the legs. And we can sit here. This might be just very comfortable to hang out here. Again, we're working the front of the foot here, getting it into that plantar flexion. Now, if we're having issues with the front of our legs, whether that's pain through the shins or through the quads, and we're struggling to get the foot into this position, then that's an area that is worth exploring and looking into. Okay, and coming back, going to sit into our good old cross-leg sitting, something we used to do at school very easily back in the day. So just getting the legs crossed like this is very challenging for some people. So just listen to the body. You might need to just bring the legs out. You might need to just start off with one knee. Okay, the other knee just bent. If you can get into the cross-legged sitting, let's try and work on dropping those knees down. So it might be good to sit against the wall here if you're really having to round the back and you're feeling uncomfortable. So sit against the wall or the bottom of the sofa. And if we're here and this is easy, and this feels nice and comfortable for you, then we can just sink down and place the forearms onto the floor in front. And again, really good, we're getting the hips into this external rotation, an area of tension on a lot of people. A pattern I work on every day to try and improve, try and maintain. Okay, we might need to shuffle over to one side and dropping down to the right knee. And shuffling over to the left knee, sinking down. Might want to reach the arms out. So as long as we're not forcing anything, then all of this is pretty safe. If something doesn't quite feel right, then ease up and just go searching for where the tension spots are on you. And a great one to do is we'll always go into a pattern that we're most used to. So just uncross the legs and bring the opposite leg in first. And coming in. And again, this might just suddenly feel really awkward. So sinking down again. Taking those nice deep breaths in, and on the exhale, sinking in deeper. Not forcing anything here. Should be our nice relaxing session of the week. After we've done our big run or our big bike ride. We've been in the pool. We've just been really busy at work. Done a lot of walking, a lot of racing around. So this is our chill out session. Okay, and coming back up again. So we're going to get back into our squat position. So coming up into standing. Okay, we're just going to recheck, see how the hips are feeling. So set the feet up about shoulder width apart, pointing the feet slightly out. Okay, coming up onto the heels a little bit. Lifting the heels up and just sinking down into those hips. And just see if we've made change. So it might be that you just sat down a little bit easier. Just felt a bit more fluid through the hips. Okay, from here we can bring the knees out using our elbows, bringing the hands together. Might want to put our hands out in front, round our back out a little bit, sink down, heels touching the mat. Keeping the breath controlled, fluid, relaxed. Okay, we're going to hang out here for a few more moments. Get the arms, hands back together again. Pushing those knees apart. And again, just getting those hips into this full range of motion, getting the knees up, using the whole joint, working our ankle joints, working our upper back, trying to stay tall. We can round the back out a little bit, We're not lifting any weights, that's fine to round the back out a bit. Might want to gently rock side to side and get a bit of motion. Okay, we're going to hold this for another minute. Come out at any stage if it's just too much. You might want to put a rolled towel underneath the heels just to support yourself. So this is your session. Work with your body. And little by little, we'll get the body moving nicely. Okay, and then from here, we're going to finish up our session today, as we always do. Laying on our back. Open up the feet, open up the hands. And we're going to hang here for a few minutes. I'm just working on that breath. Okay, so line here. Bringing your attention to the breath. Okay, we've created a window of opportunity today in the session, giving you some ideas. Put the body into some different patterns. So it's important for us to acknowledge that and take the time to allow the body to adapt. So let's get the breathing. Inhale for 4 to 6, maybe 8 seconds in. Taking it right to the top, raising that stomach up. Hold it for a couple of seconds maybe at the top of the breath. And then breathing out slowly, all the way out, matching the duration of your inhale. Let's go again, all the way in. Moving away from that upper chest breathing, allowing that diaphragm to drop down into the abdomen, raising the belly up, getting the body into our parasympathetic system. Where we recover. Get our digestion working. We improve our sleep when we're in this state. It's fantastic for sports performance, performance at work. So I hope you enjoyed today's session. If you've got a bit of time to hang out here in this breathing posture, then stay where you're at. It's great having you on board today. Thanks for your time. I look forward to seeing you on the mat tomorrow. Have a great day, have a great evening. Thank you very much.